The decision about whether to have children is a personal one, and the pandemic had a lot of people rethink whether they wanted to start or add to their families.
2 on Your Side's Kelly Dudzik takes a closer look at that topic tonight in this 2 on Your Side original.
When I was younger, I wanted kids. You know, I was like, I want to be a young mom. I want to be done having kids by 30. And here I am approaching 30 and like, do not want kids at all.
Emily Back was one of the first people to respond to my social media post, looking for people to talk about their decision to have kids or not.
What inspired you to respond?
So I've just been very adamant about not wanting children, and I feel like I wanted to talk about it because I feel like there's like a stigma against it. So I was like, why not?
Emily loves children. She was an au pair in France for a year. Now she lives in Buffalo with her rescue dog, Jackson.
Yeah, I have a dog, and to me, he's my child. He's much less expensive than a child. I can leave him home for a couple hours unattended. You know, to me, it's still a responsibility, of course. And to me, he's my child, and it's plenty.
Emily is not alone. A Pew Research Center survey from last year revealed more people who don't have kids are likely to never have them compared to just a few years ago. A survey found 44% of non-parents ages 18 to 49 say they are not too or not at all likely to have kids. In 2018, that number was 37%.
These are long-time trends. These are not anything that are new. I think people are just starting to recognize what we've known for a long time. It's all about the economics. If you're married or if you and your partner are working, it's very expensive to have a child.
Because unless you have someone who can provide free childcare, you usually have to decide between paying thousands of dollars a year for childcare or having one parent stay home and losing at least part of that paycheck. Michael Curatolo is a financial advisor who helps guide people through this process.
Your vacations are going to change, your spending habits are going to change, but there's no doubt about it. Childcare is the #1 cost. If you have a support system around you with regards to a grandparents or aunts and uncles, anybody that can help you take the burden off childcare, that's huge.
Curatolo says you also have to balance saving for the future while spending for today, and he sees student loan debt as another reason some people put off having children. Besides the cost, SUNY Buffalo State economics and finance professor Fred Floss says there are other factors.
This latest one is COVID, and it may actually go the other way and we might see more children. But we've seen 2 or 3 different events that we couldn't have predicted that have probably given pause to people having children when they were in their early 30s or their late 20s, when most people decide whether or not they're going to have children.
The pandemic shut us down for a few months, but then once we opened up, we were busier than ever. So I think in some way, the stress and struggles of the pandemic maybe focused people on how important families are and building a family.
And if you decide to hold off on having kids, Dr. Robert Kiltz with CNY Fertility in Syracuse says he's seeing more people in their 40s, 50s, and 60s come in.
But certainly those in the late 30s and 40s are our largest group. And I would say that they're moving more and more into recognizing maybe that, you know, that there's no right time to have a family, but the earlier you get to work, the better.
And it's a super personal decision. But some of Emily's friends do have children, and she's thankful for that.
Everyone has their choice. Like, for me, I like to be the auntie where I can come and I can play with your kid and I can spoil them and then I can go home and do what I please.
In Buffalo, Kelly Dudzik, Channel 2 News.
Brings up a lot of interesting points there. Another one that gets brought up when talking about kids and money is that what experts call the economies of scale argument, that it's actually cheaper, believe it or not, to have 4 kids than 2 because you have hand-me-downs. Spent most of my life in those. And as the kids get older, they can watch the younger ones.
Yeah, it's interesting. And to the question of, should I have a child if I can't provide for that child? Many people say no, that's a big factor, right? But Fred Floss, who you saw in Kelly's story, talked about how with past generations, people tended to have a lot of family nearby who could help with childcare, and that is not the case across a lot of the country, especially in big cities.
Yeah, he does believe, though, that it does still exist in Buffalo, and that's why so many families call this community home. You hear about people moving back for that reason. So
yeah, when they're ready for a family, they come back to Western New York.
Some reasons for optimism there.